Introduce the people that are going to be speaking on this. Cameron Colvin, he's here to my left. He's a former NFL player, turned entrepreneur, author, philanthropist, real estate investor, developer, and venture capitalist. So his life story is featured in the movie When the Game Stands Tall. And he's been a featured investor on the show Elevator Pitch. One of my all-time favorite life stories of overcoming adversity and letting nothing stop you from success. So if you don't know about Cam Colvin, look him up. What he's doing is unbelievable. The next person is Ty Gonzer. He was here a minute ago. He's right in front of me. Ty's a partner at Weinberg Gonzer LLP in LA, specializing in highly visible individuals and privately held companies. The next person is Kevin Donahue, over here to my right. He's the owner of Executive Salesforce, Surf and Serve. Kevin's an entrepreneur and a philanthropist. Kevin works for Dr. Ted Carrick of Carrick Institute in his neuroperformance sector as well. So he led the last conversation about neuroperformance, neuroscience, and mental health. He's also my co-host on the podcast Success to Success. Next one is Matt Julia. He's over here to my left. Matt's a senior financial services rep at Foresters Financial in Phoenix. I'm a trusted advisor of mine who thinks family first. Pretty dope. The last one is John Caruso. He's the founder of Zima Digital Assets, one of the top cryptocurrency traders in the world. And this is his house. So I'll let that intro end. He's 26 years old and he's pretty successful with what he does.
He's doing all right, yeah.
He's doing all right. So the way we're gonna run this conversation, I want to make it a little more intimate. We got a little different crowd here too, which is perfect. So I want people to be able to have access to these individuals that are in front of you. Like I said, one of the best real estate developers in the country, sitting to my left. One of the top cryptocurrency traders in the world over here that you have direct access to. So take advantage of this opportunity to ask questions, dig into these people. We've got investors, we've got the legal side of it, we've got advisors. So take advantage of the free opportunity. So I'm going to kick it off with basically, since we're in the crypto home, in the crypto castle, I just want to ask, if we can get a mic over there. I want to ask John to kind of break down what is cryptocurrency.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
There we go. Cryptocurrency is a digital peer-to-peer way to transfer funds that is built on a technology called blockchain, which is a ledger technology that allows ease of transaction. So it's something that's eventually we see is going to replace a lot of the archaic ways of the banking system. But you can think of cryptocurrency as traded as if it was a stock or commodity. Each individual cryptocurrency having a set value and transfer method.
So, have you ever kind of stepped into the cryptocurrency area?
I recently attended a cryptocurrency convention in Miami. It was pretty interesting. I had some colleagues down there who were involved in it, and I did a lot of international transactions. So, and we send and receive money all over the world. And one mistake, within that system of a SWIFT system, the money's gone, you'll never find it, right? Imagine sending $100 million, to Japan for a product or a real estate investment, and the wire trips or whatever, and it happens, and you lose the money. So once I started to look inside cryptocurrency of like what it really was behind all the BS you hear in the news and all the the headlines, you really start to see the value of it. And you see companies like, banks like JP Morgan, launching, their own coin. It's headed there. It's been, and I feel like I'm late, right? I didn't put any money into it. So when you see, I had a colleague out in Las Vegas who held his position, to the last moment. He made, he put in $5 million and he cashed out $200 million, in the cryptocurrency world. And it's a real thing. I'm starting to look into it more. I'm still a, hard asset guy, but, I'm open to it.
Why does crypto exist?
I think that we have a shift in the financial world as far as, like I said, the banking system becoming relatively archaic, and like you were saying, as far as, sending these big, transactions in international trade being one of them. Obviously, it creates that ease of payment versus the dealing with the wire transfer, and obviously we've all, I'm sure, dealt with issues with wire transfers, banking, checks, etc. So I mean, we can send $100 million on blockchain through crypto at 3 o'clock in the morning, regardless of time zone to where we're sending it, and 10 minutes later we can get a confirmation. Unfortunately, that's a 48 to 72 hour process in the banking world. But to address something that you said as well, as far as being too late in the space, I think that I know that we're still in the infancy. So I think that's something that a lot of people need to understand, that even though we've had kind of ebbs and flows in the markets now, that there still is a lot of opportunity that exists in terms of development of technology as well as investment opportunity.
What are some of the cryptocurrency options right now that are doing successful?
So I mean, you have about 4,000 actual cryptocurrencies, coins if you will, that are traded in the markets. About 1,400 of them are more mainstream coins that are not kind of initial coin offering opportunities, which is similar to an IPO, initial public offering. But right now, obviously, the entire market is moving in an incredible direction. I mean, we just gained $9 billion worth of market cap in about the last 72 hours. So I think the market as a whole right now is relatively strong.
So looking at kind of preparing for the inevitable retirement, I want to explore some of the different investing opportunities that exist. So there's cryptocurrency and there's hard assets. So what are some of those opportunities that athletes should be looking at?
There's a wide range of investments for, obviously not as athletes, but everyone to look at. But my story, when I first started investing as a rookie with the San Francisco 49ers, I was in San Francisco in 2007 and 8 when the market had crashed, and there were numerous property owners who were just losing their minds, running around trying to get out of their properties or whatnot. And I had some pretty savvy investment managers at Morgan Stanley, and they said, hey, you should take some cash, instead of going to buy that Ferrari, hard cash, put this cash into some real estate and see what you can do. So my story is I gave a guy 80 grand for the note of his like 30,000 square foot warehouse. I held on to that thing for like 3 years and made $2 million. And so I never caught a pass after that. So for me, it was more feasible to say, hey, I'm not going to wake up and get hit, risk my brain, my body every day. But I love the game, and it gave me a great platform. But once I jumped into real estate, it completely changed, my mindset about business. And I was more intrigued anyway of, why were the marketing deals so big, and why are these guys getting paid more money off the field than they are actually on the field by these franchises? And so I was more intrigued with that side of the business and who are the guys writing checks, right? That's where I wanted to be. So once I saw that, I started to take my money and leverage it off the field into numerous aspects, whether it be into smaller marketing advertising companies who were representing these athletes. So I wanted a piece of business on a different side of it, and I had no financial background, right? Nothing. But I was more intrigued on like the real money that was being made. I was 21, 22 years old, and you want to make a lot of money, but then you start thinking about the future, you start thinking about everything else. But the real estate game, changed my entire mindset when it came to investing, and now, 10 years later, I built a venture capital firm. We manage about $2 billion, and we're one of the very few, black-owned private companies, that manages, $2 billion, and we're, internationally, doing business. And so there's numerous opportunities out, but it's just really about you understanding, what your temperature is and what you're looking to do and how long you're looking to lock up your money. I always get guys in the league now that come and ask me, what should I put my money into? I'm like, well, what are you trying to do with your money? It's about understanding the fine points and all the intangibles of, how to leverage your money.
Young guys just got into the league. Where would you guys suggest kind of that first thing to look into as far as where to put your money? Save it? Do you invest it? Is there a certain area that you look at that's going to be more beneficial? Well,
first off, don't give it to your cousin or your friend who has a clothing line or a record label. And that's that's the nature of the beast. You always hear guys say, hey, I got this great project. I want to open a tattoo shop or I'm gonna start a record label. I'm like, well, yeah, there's a lot of those out there, but I think the biggest thing that it's easy to tell a guy at this point what not to do, right, and instead of what to do. But I think the biggest mistake guys do is give their money to financial advisors to manage without understanding what they're doing. Not asking the questions of how does it work, and what are my returns, and what a return is, what's it supposed to look like, and how do I pay my taxes, right? Things like that, the small things. I think guys tend to forget, once you get those big checks, that, I'm liable for a lot of things, and I have to be very responsible with this capital. I love real estate. It was a hard asset. I like investing into things I can touch. So land is always a good thing. They can't make more of that, and so that's all.
Ty, when you're looking at investing from a legal standpoint, what are some of the things, top points that athletes should be looking at, and also agents and advisors?
I think mainly it's just doing diligence on whatever investment that you want to get into, whether it's real estate, whether it's a fund, and next time you get it back, please give them an idea of like what investing in a fund is, like from the limited partner standpoint, not from the GP. It's just about doing that diligence and having a team around you that helps you do that and look into whether it makes sense for what your goals are, what you care about, what your portfolio is. And there's nothing wrong with doing some things that could be considered like risk capital, but you should sit down with your financial people and figure out what part of your portfolio that makes sense to do. And if you want to start a business because it's your passion, just make sure that that amount of money is considered like gambling, right? If it goes away and you never see it again, but you learned about growing a business and being an entrepreneur and doing something that has value to you, whether it's just because you enjoy it or other skill sets you learn, that's okay. But you need to be very careful about what that amount of money is, and then make sure it's diversified in other things that will make you money as well.
Biggest mistake that athletes make in investing in with their finances in general, what would you say that is as far as from your standpoint, the inside, right?
I said just following the trends, right? Investing into what everybody else is investing in. When I was in the league, I think there was a big scheme going on. I think it was Drew Brees. He had initially invested like $5 million into something, and you get a guy like that who's credible and notable invest into something, and literally he had about 100 guys, following his lead, putting a multiple of $5 to $10 million into an investment, and come to find out the thing wasn't real. Right? No one did their diligence. They believed one guy, because John's doing it. We can all do it. We're all going to make a boatload of money, but it all came back and it wasn't real. And so I think that's the biggest mistake, is following the trends and not doing the homework. And I think the best thing I did was I actually asked the questions. I picked up the books, right? We're in the information age, right? You can Google anything. You can Google anybody and find out what you need to find out. So I think guys get lazy and they just hand their money off, like I said earlier, and just let someone else manage it. And, no one's going to take care of what you have better than you, regardless of what it is, especially your money. If someone has free money, they go crazy. So I've seen it at all levels, and I've lost some good money early on trusting the wrong people. So I think the biggest thing is guys is following the trends and not just doing their own diligence. Like you said, you have to do your diligence, and that's the best thing that saved me when doing very large transactions and deals, of just doing the homework and taking the time and being patient, and not rushing into investments. Take your time, take your time, take your time.
How much of your net income should you be looking at to put aside for investments?
I think it comes with the individual. I'd say like 20% is a good number, just depending on what you want to do and how you want to leverage your capital. It's just really what you're looking at. I mean, it's just a big market out there. Whether it be our portfolio, it's on 60% real estate. The remaining is startup companies. We like esports and things like that. So we like to take a couple gambles here and there, but at the same time, just be cautious. If you're gonna need, I always tell guys, if you're gonna need that money back in 6 months, you're not ready to invest.
Matt, I want to ask you kind of on the family side, looking at savings. What should guys be looking out as far as that long-term savings aspect for when you have a family, or if you already do?
So when I talk with people and I kind of go through their situations, one of the biggest things that I really find is people really haven't sat down and talked about really what they want to have happen. Like I'll sit with a husband and a wife, and they'll sit there and they'll go, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And they haven't really sat down and kind of gone through what's the most important things to them. And so when I find investors kind of just getting detoured or getting off track or just saying, wow, we don't know how we got here, it was because they didn't really sit down and do the most important thing and just line out what's the most important thing to them, you know? And so, you know, I think when it comes to taking care of family and taking care of, you know, the long term for even, you know, generational wealth, which I think is a really important thing that most people don't even think about when they're just, you know, 20, 21, 22, maybe they don't even have a family yet. But, you know, think about your assets and think about what you have and where you're putting it, and not only how you're going to use it, and asking the questions of your advisors, you know, how am I going to use this? How liquid is it? Can I get to it? What is it there for? How am I going to create an income from it? How's it going to send my kids to college? You know, all these things. Like, what happens if, you know, the worst thing happens? You know, one of us passes away. There's a lot of things that go along with thinking about the family. The family's the most important piece, and I think the reason that every person gets up and goes to work every single day is they think of that person that they love and they want to make sure things happen. So I think really the most important thing is just step out and really take that first important step and have a real hard, good, long conversation about what do we want to do. You know, there's money to be made everywhere. You know, you can find the experts to make money in different places, you know, hard assets, cryptocurrency, traditional investments. I mean, whatever you feel comfortable with, you know, you just got to find the people. But you have to find the people that are going to help you really line out those goals, set a solid plan that fits inside there, and then keeps you inside that plan. And that's the biggest thing. And I think that's where most people get detoured, is that they haven't actually lined out that goal, and then they don't have someone in place to make sure that they stay in line with that. And if it changes, it changes. That's fine. But you got to have a starting point. And that's the most important thing. So,
Kev, when you're looking at investing into a business or an idea, what are some of the things that you need to look for? It might be a red flag, or maybe it's just certain questions that you should be asking of whatever that partnership's going to be.
Yeah, one of the rules I always follow is that success leaves clues. Right? If you're going to go hike Mount Everest, you're going to get some local guy to guide you. So I always believe in mentorship. So I look for people who are already experts in the field, who have success, and then what I look to do is partner with them. And then what I walk away with is not only success from a monetary standpoint, but also education, right? Like, our education system's fine the way it is, but really, like, apprenticeship is where we learn. You know, it's like if I want to get into cryptocurrency, I hang out with you guys. And I want to spend more time with you and immerse myself in that world so I can learn more and see how I can find success myself. So, but you know, the typical red flags too, if it sounds too good to be true. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, sometimes stuff is true that sounds too good to be true. But if it's too good to be true and the person doesn't have the experience or doesn't have the success track, then I avoid at all costs, you know. And especially if I don't, because everyone's talking about doing due diligence, I agree 100%. Sometimes I don't have the time, you know, because I'm so busy with what I'm doing. So I like to play in realms that I'm familiar with. So, or if I don't, I go with a guide who I can spend time with through living his own business.
Hey John, what's making you different right now of a lot of other cryptocurrency investors that is allowing for you to have more success? It's not just luck.
I mean, I'd like to see a little skills involved for sure, but I think that the transparency that we offer to our investors and how we approach the markets in terms of research and due diligence in our own space plays a big role. Like a lot of these guys have already summed up. You know, if you're in real estate, obviously you want to do the most due diligence inside that particular space as well, not just in something that's a new investment. So that's definitely something that you know, I do in my space. You know, I want to know, even I have the skill set, but I always am consistently learning every single day about, you know, new opportunities or new market trends and, you know, patterns and things like that, especially for my industry that is in such, you know, its infancy. I mean, guys have been investing in real estate for years. My industry is, you know, sub 10 years old. So right now it's still an ever learning process, even for the guys like myself that are the best at what we do. So those are things that obviously we like to stay ahead of the curve.
As far as risk goes for investing in like the stock exchange versus investing in cryptocurrency, what would you say the differences are, or about similar? Or?
I mean, volatility is obviously what creates huge opportunity in both directions. So as it was summed up, I mean, you have to have an appetite for risk, in any investment per se, but especially in what we do, it's, volatility creates the huge upswings potential and obviously the downswings potential. But for me personally, I stay relatively conservative inside the crypto space to try to now create a model that's a little bit more consistent to the traditional financial markets and hedge fund model, to where we're taking long and short positions, and we're doing things to hedge our investors' money to where we can mitigate a lot of the downside risk potentially, while still allowing them to gain, some upside potential as well.
Okay, I want to go kind of the next step and open this up to everybody else. I'm going to pick on a few people just to kind of get an idea of where you're at. So let's start with Brett. What are some things that you're dealing with right now? You're a young guy in Major League Baseball, and I'm sure you're getting your feet wet, or at least opening up to the idea of investing in savings and whatnot. Where are you at right now with things?
Yeah, so I was drafted in the 6th round, so I mean, I didn't get a lot of money, but I got some money. So right away, Mom had a financial advisor, so it's like, I'm gonna go with that guy. She's been with him 10 plus years. It's in the family. She's done a good job for my mom's money. But going through the minor leagues, we're getting paid pennies. So the last 6 years, I made my debut in 17. Up until then, I mean, no money, enough to pay for living expenses and food and stuff. And when you make it to the big leagues, the minimum is $550, and like you said, that big check starts coming in. And come to find out, this guy I'm with, he doesn't know how to do taxes for big league athletes or professional athletes. You gotta all the taxes from different states, and I'm still getting IRS, you owe this amount of money from 2015. I'm just like, man. So, that was something I had to learn. Obviously I'm with a financial advisor now who knows what he's doing, but just something simple as that, because I had no clue what the deal was. But, now that this money's coming in, like y'all said, just having someone who knows what they're doing. He's dealing with, he's got Russell Wilson. He's got big name guys who I feel comfortable, having. So I think, no, this is good stuff, though. I'm glad I'm sitting through this and learning more. But yeah, you don't know unless you're in that position. So.
Do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, the funny thing is, our first road trip in the NFL, I got my paycheck that week, and I know what I make. Right, we're on the road. Look at my check. I'm like, whoa! I just paid taxes in Chicago. It's no one tells you that every home game you have, you're gonna pay taxes in that state. And I'm playing in San Francisco, so I'm already getting hit hard. So for me, it's you don't have that experience, and you don't have people to tell you. You have an agent or whatnot, and their job is to keep you on a team, right? Their job is not to manage your finances. So I think that's a prime example of guys just making it to their dream, and you forget about everything else that comes along with that. And I think that's the most important thing is always surrounding yourself with the right people. And I think the only way I've been successful throughout my career, whether in sports and as an entrepreneur, is I've surrounded myself with gentlemen who have done it for 30 plus years, right? And they can tell you when you're walking into a shit show they'll tell you right now, like, you don't want to do that. Like, why? And I'll try and reason with them or whatnot. And I think the best thing when you're starting a company as an entrepreneur, having advisors, having mentors, and a lot of guys don't want to hear it, but putting a board in place. The best thing that I've done is put a board in place of individuals who have, been there, done it, built some of the biggest resorts and hotels in the world, and they can say, hey, you don't want to do that, or hey, you're on the right track. And 8 years ago they said, hey, you're gonna get to where you want to go because you have the right attitude and the right mentality, and they were there to take care of the rest of the things. And it's kind of like having the answers to a test, right? We've all been to college or some sort of school, right? And you have the answers to the test. You kind of just walk right through it and not make the mistakes. And in the NFL, it's always a joke saying that when you're taking a rep, be the third guy in line, right? Don't be the first guy and don't be the second guy, because the first guy, if he fucks it up, you're gonna have a problem, right? The second guy, the first guy's gonna be okay. The second guy, he has a chance, okay. But if the third guy messes it up, and you've seen these guys in front of you do it wrong twice, you're going home. And that's just the basis of, that's the nature of the beast, right? You have these people in front of you who've done it, whether they've done it poorly or they've done it really well. Just follow the lead. Success leaves clues is one of my favorite sayings of all time, because it does. It's a fact, right? You turn on the film, you watch a guy who's done it. You watch a Randy Johnson, whoever it may be. You watch those guys and you see how they do it, and that's it right there, man. Like, show you how to do it. You just add your twist to it.
I think that's where I went wrong. I signed out of high school diploma. So you were talking about college there. I can't relate to that.
I think that was really good advice. I wanted to add one thing. When you said you have your own personal board of directors, and I think that's incredible. And just like a high-level view of why, for anyone that doesn't know why a company has a board of directors, is basically 5 to 10 to however many different people from different walks of life with different skill sets that all complement each other. And the idea is they make the big picture decisions for a company, right? And we don't want them to all agree, right? They're supposed to be different people and get in a room and hash stuff out and see what the best decision is, the best course of action. So it's great, and there's nothing wrong with viewing yourself as a business and surrounding yourself, and actually personal or professionally, just with different kinds of people that you trust and know are in it for the right reasons, and bounce everything you do off them, and hopefully they're actually sometimes going at each other, but at the end of the day, you're going to get somewhere where you're getting information you're taking in, and you're going to make an informed decision on what's best for you.
And also, just add to that, because when you have that board of directors, it's like everyone here is pretty much an athlete. It's your team, and you bring your skill set, and they bring theirs, and it's complementary. And it's interesting because one of my mentors is I guess he's 18 years old now, right? So it's like, but he's one of the most successful guys on Instagram. He's got a network of about 150 million followers, and he's an asset on my team. He's a mentor to me. I also have mentors who are in their 60s and 70s and 80s, right? And from all over the world. So when we and it's not just me consuming them. I add a ton of value to them. I'm always thinking, hey, how can I help them? And how can they help me? And it becomes this really symbiotic relationship and then people are like begging to be on your board because they're like, I want to be on that team, right? It's like, so
I want to go off what Brett said here, because I was also a baseball player drafted rather high, but I was set up for success. I was put with a CPA who really knew what he was doing, and I was a 17-year-old full of piss and vinegar who thought I could take on the world. And in a matter of years of living off that money, it goes away quickly. And I think growing a network like this, where you can have mentors to help teach these kids that you alone can't take on the world. Really rely on the people around you who are experts in their fields. I was a 17-year-old kid who came out of high school with absolutely no idea how to do taxes, how to handle money, what investments were, what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. Did I really need to buy an extra pair of shoes? And I think now if I could go back and talk to myself 7 years ago, I would have been able to use that money to leverage it for the things that I want to do now. Big projects that I now have in my mind, I have to rework myself up to get to that kind of financial standard to be able to do them. And I love the fact that things like this are happening, because it does build a network that can eventually help kids that are coming into the game 17, 18 years old, a couple $1 million, and allow them to do good for the world around them and not just themselves, and really open up their minds to what is possible when you have that amount of wealth at a young age with a platform that is, almost unmatched in the world. Athletes really do have the potential to help millions. And so, that's why, Kyle, I'm really glad that you are putting things like this on, because it's incredible to see what is possible.
Does anybody have any questions for anybody that are up on the board, for anybody that's in the room, they'd like to direct something to? And if not, then I'm going to direct a question. So Cam, what's something that you would want to learn about cryptocurrency for yourself?
when I was at that conference, they were just talking about all the payment methods, and I think that's a big thing when you do a lot of transactions. We try to do, 100 investments a year, and we're sending money all over the world. So for me, it's more of, how would you see the future of, transactional, safety, or, I get a lot of investments on my table of different people bringing opportunities of that sort. And so for me, I'm going to call you because I'm going to say, hey, I got another investment of somebody coming out with another source of something. What do you look at in terms of something that's legitimate for, an investment in that space?
I think it kind of summarizes what everybody said. You obviously do, the research on the team behind it. So that's the first thing I do. I look at an opportunity, inside a specific coin or cryptocurrency that can potentially now be used as a payment gateway. And, I look at how long the person's been in the space. I look at what projects they've previously done. What type of technology is implemented. A variety of these different factors, obviously come into play to then make your total decision on the reliability going forward on that particular coin or investment. And then you can obviously gauge from that point what its reliability is going to be going forward. And that would obviously be my decision maker in using it in a large scale payment transaction.
So within that, because the space is so new, and there is, somewhat of a track record that's not there, how do you, determine, how valid that system is? Obviously you have to get them in there, they're doing test runs and whatnot, you're seeing what the product does, but how would you determine if something is brand new to the market and, you want to take a stab at it? What are you looking at there?
So from more of a technical side, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the cryptocurrencies that are out there, even though there's thousands, have only got about 6 to 10 different real technology bases behind it. So a lot of the coins are built on the exact same platform with just a little bit of a spin to it. So obviously think about it as the same piece of land, just a different house, same type of deal. So you can kind of gauge it off that as well. And obviously people gravitate towards the technologies in which they're comfortable with and what they've obviously had a track record with in previous investments.
John, I actually had a question for you as well.
Sure.
Could you give, I'm a novice for sure in your world, and could you give all of us just a quick synopsis of what blockchain is, the underlying technology and other ways that it is being used or can be used as it progresses?
Sure. Blockchain is like I said, it's a ledger technology. So it's a way that a computer system processes certain transactions and keeps record of those transactions. So think about it as a ledger in your checkbook, but a digital one as well. So it's a platform that goes ahead and is able to keep track of incoming and outgoing payments, as well as hashes within the space to allow you to show payments that are transferred from peer-to-peer.
And to try to make it relevant for this audience too, did I read something, am I wrong, that maybe memorabilia companies or stuff like that were starting to look into using blockchain as a way to authenticate autographs or other things like that?
So there's quite a bit. Blockchain's being used now in a wide variety of industries outside of the cryptocurrency space, just because it's, like I said, it's ease of transaction, it's transparency, and obviously authenticating or validating the type of products and things like that you're speaking about. So I definitely think that now that's going to create a wider range of opportunities inside the space and inside the technology of blockchain itself.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, it's a more elementary type question. How old were you when you started getting into cryptocurrency?
So I was.
How old he is now? It's 26 now.
27.
Oh, you're 27. Sorry. Way off.
My bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
It's okay. I had a birthday since I was 3 So I've been in the space now for about 6 years. So I was an early investor in crypto, as you said.
Are you self-taught?
I'm completely self-taught. So I came out of conventional finance where I had an idea of trading in stocks, commodities, conventional products, and try to use that knowledge that I had in the cryptocurrency market after my early investments.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you're not a high school. You went to college?
So no, I did not.
Oh,
so you and I
okay.
are part of the same club.
Let's go.
So there we go.
Love that about you. And your house and your cars and.
No, I mean, again, there's 1,000 different ways to do it. I mean, everybody obviously sitting in this room has a different path to where they got to get to where you are today. So, I mean, I think that kind of in sum of all that, it's about educating yourself and being diverse and, you know, coming to, when people come to me as far as, you know, wanting to invest or wanting to talk to me about the space, I always, you know, encourage people to be as educated as possible and no question is elementary or stupid or anything. Because like I said, we all do something different for a living and, you know, you need to be informed about what you're getting yourself into and your money that you're investing is translates to your hard work. So.
Anybody else? Yeah, Randy?
Is Bitcoin like the premium currency because they're first? Or are there other currencies that are better to acquire?
It definitely is the original, and I think it's the most synonymous with when people mention cryptocurrency. Is obviously the first, you know, go-to is Bitcoin. It has the largest market cap, so it controls the largest portion of the market of cryptocurrencies. It is now the oldest technology, so there are new upcoming cryptocurrencies and existing ones now that obviously outpace it in terms of development and technology. So I think there are better options at the moment. So.
Anybody? Tyler Wagner. Awesome. Well, if nobody has any more questions, I'm assuming most of you will be sticking around for Karts and Guitars, hopefully, starting about now.
3 minutes ago.
Yeah. So we'll wrap this up. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming out.